What is it that makes a car undeniably British? Is it the power and performance of an Aston Martin? Is it the luxury and opulence of a Bentley? Or is it the cultural icon of British ingenuity that is the Mini? Well, I say it's none of that, because this is peak British engineering. It's not fast, it's definitely not luxurious, and the only thing it's iconic for is breaking down. So go ahead and tune into the video and check out the creation of Britain's newest roadster. As always, guys, we're starting things off in automation here, and when I was coming up with the idea for this, when I think of a British car, I think Lotus, right? I've always loved the look of the Elise, the Exige, the Evora, and I wanted to make some kind of British roadster. But then I thought I've always had a little place in my heart for stuff like the MGB, the Triumph Spitfire, some kind of Morgan, the Triumph TR7. And so I've been kind of going through here looking for some kind of a body that would fit an old 60s British roadster. And I believe this is going to be our choice. Wheelbase, I'll probably go back and look at the actual wheelbase of those cars just to get it accurate. But I do want to lean towards a pretty small car. These were not very powerful, so I want to really focus in on that. Okay, I'm not going to go ahead and walk you guys through every single design and engineering choice we make for this car, but just know it was designed to be around the early 60s, around the time of those other iconic British roadsters. So we're going to go ahead and change the year here to, say, 1964, just to limit our choices to something more accurate. And when it comes to the design philosophy of this build, we're obviously going to be keeping things cheap, available, and just in a similar vein to the other British roadsters. And I am going to go ahead and knock the quality down a couple on some of these sliders. You know, not as a knock to British engineering.
I can't understand it myself, because you know when you see the legend made in Leicester,
it's a byword for sort of reliability and quality.
Absolutely. What are the other things that are made?
But rather to say that these cars were built pretty cheaply and in the 60s, right? So in a time where automotive engineering was not as refined as it is today. And so, you know, a lot of stuff like that is going to be reflected in this build. And of course, it's going to be rear-wheel drive. Okay guys, I thought I'd give you a rundown of the engine real quick, and just for reference, all the other roadsters of the period, they all pretty much had inline fours, and they ranged from about 1.2 liters to 1.8 liters, making 65 horsepower to 95. So I went with a kind of middle ground, a 1.4 liter inline four, making about 75 horsepower. And so it's about right for the era, although it may rev a little bit high. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a listen to her. Yeah, and you know, that sounds about right. Of course, 75 horsepower is not crazy. It's actually a lot for the period. But of course, a roadster is not about the power, it's about the handling. Okay, a little mid-design update for you guys. Before we take a look at the front here, we're getting there. I just want to say, if you've ever seen a picture of a Spitfire or an MGB, they all kind of look like frogs. And, you know, you see, like, this looks pretty similar to one of those two. And it's got, like, the very pronounced headlights kind of popping up the top. And it's just derpy looking. He's just a little guy. But, yeah. Things are coming along smoothly, and I'm sure I'll see you once this is all done. Okay guys, finished design here. I decided to keep the rear pretty simple. I just kept the same chrome bumper that was on the front of the car. And I put this little wire rack on the back, because I feel like a lot of pictures I've seen of these roadsters, they all have wire racks on the trunk. So I thought I'd go ahead and mimic that for this design. And when it comes to the interior, again, very simple, a lot of wood, very 60s British roadster. So without further ado, let's go ahead and export this, and I will see you guys in BeamNG. You know, just for the occasion, I went ahead and installed a UK map in BeamNG, just kind of add to the immersion of driving an old British roadster. Go ahead and get her on the road and see how she does. And initially, I know it only has 75 horsepower, and so top speed is pretty limited, but acceleration should be pretty good. Let's go ahead and go foot to the floor here. You know, just because it's so light. And it's got straight cut gears for some reason. I did not put that in, that was automation. Already a lot of tire squeal. Of course, it's on cross-ply tires. Man. Yeah, a lot of oversteer there. It's pretty good at four-wheel drifting. Again, just because these tires are from the 60s, they don't grip at all. And they're quite thin tires, too. I didn't really go over that much in the build. Okay, here we go. Honestly... Oh, no, I almost caught it. Please don't go over the edge. You know, I was about to say... Hey. Relax, man. Almost hit me. You know, if you go ahead and kind of catch the weight distribution before it slides out from under you, it's actually very controllable in a drift like that. Of course, it's a roadster. It's all about handling. It's not about the power. It's like a 60s version of a BRZ. Alright, here we are finally on an actual main road here. See if we can get a little top speed run on this thing. Now, it is only a 5-speed manual, and top speed is not really the name of the game of these things. I think the Spitfire itself tops out at like 92 miles an hour. Oh god. See if I can get around the outside here. I'll see, once you're up to speed, the front tires are very light. It's very hard to know what's going on up there. Like, if this thing had a big V8 in it and it got up to like 160, okay, it looks like a 102 is the top speed. Yeah, any faster, and I mean, just look at how much it's shaking already. Oh, thank God he got out of the way. God, please turn around. I think I might just kind of send it here until the road stops. Oh god, oh god. Very loose. Oh my god. Yeah, any kind of bump at speed and it completely loses control. There is no way over those front tires. Even though it is roughly 50-50 weight distribution, it's just such a light car that completely loses control. You know what, let's go ahead and see how this thing does on track, though. Alright, you know, I feel like I might have the same issue I have with a lot of other cars, which is just keeping it control for an entire lap. You know, something about my automation builds, they just really like to oversteer. Let's go ahead and get her started. See what kind of lap we can put up. Already an absolute rocket off the line. You know, it's trying its best. Fortunately, it's only just now starting to understeer. Honestly, so far it's been absolutely great, but only because it's just kind of slow. Use the rear-wheel drive and shitty tires in our favor here. It just upshifted on its own. This is a manual. I don't know how I just did that. Already, this thing is very smooth to drive. Again, partly on account of low horsepower, but honestly, the suspension is just set up pretty nicely. Like, it encourages oversteer, and of course, on an actual race car, you want a platform that does encourage oversteer. This thing is absolutely great. Testing the track limits there. No big problem. Honestly, I thought this is going to be a lot worse than it was. First try. Wow, 125.6. Honestly, in my head, I was thinking this thing was going to run like a high 120s. This is pretty good. It beat my 3,000 horsepower Corvette. You know, I'll take that any day. Honestly, I think I might give this like 2-3 more tries. See if anything interesting happens. See if I can beat a time of 125.6. Wow, honestly, really pushing track limits there at the end, and it's only coming up with 125 too. Honestly, final impressions is this thing is a very responsive chassis. It handles really well. Of course, it could use a little bit more power, but that's gonna disrupt the weight distribution a little bit. But honestly, I think this thing is perfect as it is, and I could not have built a better 1960s British Roadster. And you know, at this point, if you guys have watched this far, go ahead and like, subscribe, make sure to tune in to the rest of the series where I build, you know, dumb cars like this based on whatever country you guys want to see next. See you in the next one.